This video is for someone who asked me, what documents do I need to get a Canadian work permit? This is what happens to thousands of applications every year. Not because the person wasn't qualified, not because the job wasn't real, but because of one missing document, one inconsistency, one thing that an immigration officer is looking for that he did not see. So today I'm going to show you the exact checklist, explain why each document matters, and tell you the specific mistakes that can cause rejection so that yours will end up looking like this: approved. Let's get to it. So there are two parts to the Canadian work permit, and you should know your part first. We have part A or road A, and then part B, or whichever we can call it, road B. So under the Part A, LMIA is required, and this is popularly known as Temporary Foreign Worker Program, TFWP. Here, employer needs government permission to hire you, and the process follows this. This is the government body that will give employer that approval. It's called Employment and Social Service Development of Canada. They are the body that will give the employer the permission to hire you. Then LMIA is initiated. LMIA is Labor Market Impact Assessment. Will be initiated by the employer. The employer will prove that for this particular job, there is nobody qualified in Canada to be hired for this position. So we need to hire someone from outside of Canada who is qualified to handle this specific task or this particular job. So those are the proof that they will prove to this body, and this body will give them approval. So once they get the approval, they initiate the LMIA, and they'll be able to bring you over through that process, and you will get once you have that, you apply for work permit and come over to Canada to perform the duty. And it is most common route for jobs from outside of Canada. If you're applying from outside of Canada, this is the route you usually will take to come. Then the Path B, which is the road B, is LMIA-Exempt, and this is usually International Mobility Program, IMP. So no LMIA is needed for this. Employer will register on IRCC portal, and then employer pays $230 Canadian compliance fee. There's a compliance thing. And then employer gets a number, that is A plus 7 digits. Is a set of number that they will get, and they will give it to you to complete your application process. Examples of this Part B is intra-company transfer. Say for instance, your company has a presence in Canada, and they want to, maybe you are in Jamaica and they want to transfer you to Canada. This is the process, this is the route, the path they will follow for that. So they will just do what we call intercompany transfer and move you over. So they will get some numbers for you to be able to apply for work permit in the IRCC portal using the LMIA-Exempt route. Another example is what we call agreements, a bilateral agreement. Maybe two companies have a sort of bilateral agreement. Maybe a company in Morocco and a company in Canada has a bilateral agreement. They just, sign an agreement, and you apply for work permit. And the third example is some tech jobs, global talent stream. This is a particular stream that hires high-level skilled tech people. So if maybe Rogers in Canada needs a high-tech person from Saudi Arabia, so what they use is this LMIA-Exempt to bring you over as a high-tech person in order for you to perform specific duties or specific tasks for the company in Canada. And just so you know, Flagpoling has ended in December 2024. Only online application is now required. So Flagpoling is people applying for permits at the border and then coming in to work, but now is no longer applicable. Everything on your checklist depends on which road you are on, either road A or road B. Some documents apply to road A, some documents apply to road B, while some documents apply to both of them. So I'm going to give you a checklist that applies to everyone, everybody, irrespective of which road you are on, so that you know exactly what to prepare whenever you are planning or you're applying for your application, depending on which road you belong or you fall to. Okay, so let's start with the foundation, the documents that every applicant needs, regardless of which road you are on. The first one is valid passport. So your passport, international passport, has to be valid for the entire period of your permit. In fact, the rule is that your passport must exceed the end date of your permit. That is, if your passport is expiring in a year's time, you should not apply for a 2-year permit. Otherwise, you will not be able to sail through. So this number 2 is job offer. Must be on the letterhead of the company, and it should include the job title, the NOC, the job description, the salary, the start and the end date, and the location of the job. And also must be signed by both you and the employer, and shouldn't be a vague job. If not, that is a typical red flag. So the number 3 is proof of qualification. Your diplomas, your degrees, your professional certificates, reference letter from your past employment. And on the reference letter, it must specifically state the exact duties that you perform, which will match with what NOC that you are claiming or you are applying for. If you're not too sure of your NOC, you can check noc.esdc.gc.ca to see the exact match that you are supposed to put on your reference letter, noc.esdc.gc.ca. The 4th one is digital passport photograph. Follow IRCC specifications. Your passport photograph must be 35 mm by 45 mm on a white background. No sunglasses, no hijab, no face cap, and should not be older than 6 months of age, like that you have taken that passport photograph. If you are not too sure, you can check IRCC website for other specifications. So the 5th one is proof of financial statements. That is a bank statement showing minimum of 3 to 6 months balance on your account. And you should show a consistent balance, and it doesn't have to be a lump sum coming into your account. If you're going to have a lump sum coming into your account at any point in time, you need to attach a letter of explanation explaining why you receive such a lump sum of money. And also, this fund must show that you are able to cater for yourself for the period that you're going to be on your work permit. The document most people forget: proof of ties to home country. And the question the officer is asking: will you return back to your home country when your permit expires? Let's look at it. Why application fail? I plan to come back. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything to the visa officer or the application processing officer. If I were him, what does it mean? I plan to come back. Doesn't mean anything. So now let's look at what works. Evidence that your life exists back home after your job or your work is done with your work permit. 1, property or land ownership. If you have your title deeds, your mortgage documents showing that you have property or land or houses back home, that's strong evidence. Back it up with some other things. Family in home country. If you have your marriage certificate, your children birth certificate and stuff like that, or something showing your aged parents that you need to go back and look after, that's a strong tie back home. Current employment. If you have a current employment, you have to provide a letter from the company showing that yes, you are currently employed here, you are just on a leave or work permit to another country for so period of time. That's a strong evidence you're coming back. Business ownership. If you're a business owner, business documents, certificates of registration, which they call CAC, and stuff like that. Things that show that yes, you run this business and you're operating it. Bank and investment certificates, if you have them, those are part of evidences and documents you need to submit to back it up. Community ties like church membership, mosque membership, and stuff like that. And the stronger your tie back home, the more the officer believes you will return. So here is the important thing I want you to understand that nobody explains properly. A work permit is temporary, and the duty of a visa or application officer is to make sure that you will return home when your permit expires. They're not trying to stop you from coming to come and work. They're only performing their duty, and for you to prove to them that you will go back home is for you to show this document as evidence as we have described above. And think of it like you need to convince the officer that once your permit expires, you have something important back home that you are going to go and meet, that you are missing, that you want to go back. That is how you should make it look or seem. That is how you should actually package your application in order to prove and to be convincing that yes, after this work duration, I am going back because I have something more important to go and do back home. Yes. Now that we have discussed the universal documents, let's look at the extra or additional documents that Road A and Road B will require. Additional documents. For Road A, positive LMIA letter from Employment and Social Development of Canada. So like we discussed previously, you will need a positive LMIA letter from this once they approve. Then LMIA number, they will issue an LMIA number for you to be able to apply for your work permit. Employer compliance evidence, we also touched on this earlier on. So they need to make sure that this employer is in compliance with employer that can bring you over to come and work in Canada, and they've certified all necessary requirements. Police clearance certificate and also medical exam report. For Road B, you need employer A's number from IRCC. The number we talked about earlier is usually starts with A plus 7 digits, then offer of employment confirmation letter. Offer of employment confirmation letter from the employer, the new employer in Canada. Evidence of LMIA-Exempt. So this part B is for LMIA-Exempt. This is LMIA required. So there should be an evidence that this job or this permit you're applying for does not require an LMIA. Police and medical reports may be required. And in this case, police reports, this involves any country that you have lived in for 6 months plus since you became 18 years of age. If you have lived in Nigeria, in Ghana, in the UK, in the Philippines, in India, you need 5 police clearance certificates from these 5 countries for you to measure up with this, and you must have lived in these countries for 6 months plus since you became 18 years of age. And this can take some time. In some countries like Nigeria, can take up to even up to 8 weeks if time is not taken. So once you start planning of coming or to apply for permit, Canadian work permit, you should start applying for this, not when you're about to submit. Now let's look at the 6 reasons applications get rejected. 1, missing or incorrect documents. IRCC officers, they are not joking these days. If even single 1 page is missing or is not properly documented in your application, rejection, they return it back to you. You have to apply afresh. Wrong NOC code. So your NOC code has to match and has to be consistent with your job duties, what your new job duties is talking about, what the job duties of where you're coming from is talking about, and match, and has to be consistent for you to say true. Weak or no proof of intent to return. We've discussed this extensively previously. Suspicious bank statements, lump sum. If you have a lump sum coming into your account and you cannot explain it, is a red flag. Employer compliance issue, 2026 issue. So if your employer did not comply with the 8 weeks advertisement to show that they cannot hire anybody from Canada, or your employer's company is not properly registered, that could cause rejection. No cover letter or statement of purpose. This is very important, and this covers like 1 to 5, because whatever that is fishy or missing here, this is where you state it, you explain. It's also called letter of explanation. You explain all the gaps so that when they look at it and pick up this letter and read, they will understand if there's any gap, if there's anything, without even having a second thought of returning your application. So there's something important I want to touch on, which is called global talent stream. It's more like a fast lane. And this is part of the Road B that we discussed earlier. And what does it entail? LMIA in 2 weeks plus work permit in 10 days. So once you apply, you get this as fast as anything. Who is this for? Software engineers, computer programmers, web designers, database administrators. And who can issue this? Any employer hiring global talent or high growth Canadian company are the people that can issue this. And this is basically for tech guys, tech people. And it's the fastest legal route to Canada for a work permit. So you've seen the different parts or the different routes and the documents that are required, the global or universal documents for the 2 roads and specific documents for the 2 roads. What makes or mars your application depends on the type of document you are submitting. So make sure that you follow this documentation checklist that I gave to you above and submit your application. You will get approved. Otherwise, you're on your own Now I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments, which of this road are you on? Road A or road B? And which occupation are you applying for? Let me know, so that once I see this, I'll be able to guide you in the right direction and how to select the rightful document that is meant for that specific road without you making or committing mistakes. If this video helped you, share it with one person who is preparing or planning to submit their temporary work permit application right now. It might help them from rejection or the headache that is looming ahead. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you are new here. Like, share, and comment. And also, turn on the notification button so that when I drop my next video, you will get notified. I will see you in my next one. Signing out.